Water. Just as blood is vital to a living being, water is essential to life in an urban environment. It flows through the hills and valleys to the rivers like veins through the body and provides the people of the city with the ability to live their lives. Because of the vitality of water, many urban centers have sprouted in areas where water is abundant. Now, thousands of people are living in spaces that used to occupy only hundreds, and this has created new problems surrounding water management and sustainable living. The perfect case of this? Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had began its history as a fort in the 1700s at the location that is now Point State Park. It originated there because of the protection, travel opportunities, agricultural irrigation, and drinking water the Three Rivers provided. From there, it developed into the Steel City, where the rivers were used to ship hundreds of tons of steel to other parts of the U.S. during the American Civil War and beyond. Now, Pittsburgh has turned into an urban center with multiple universities, hospitals, and over 3,000 nonprofit organizations. One nonprofit in particular that is raising a lot of awareness for the importance of the Three Rivers region is Three Rivers Waterkeeper. Three Rivers Waterkeeper was founded in 2009 and is currently based in the renovated Penn Brewery building near downtown Pittsburgh. The organization aims to improve and protect the water quality of the Allegheny, Monongahela, and Ohio rivers and their surrounding tributaries.
These waterways are critical to the health, vitality, and economic prosperity of the communities living within the region, so they must be protected.
To talk more about Three Rivers Waterkeeper's purpose and mission, I invited Jess Friss to an interview.
My name is Jess Friss. I am the Director of Community Programs at Three Rivers Waterkeeper, located here in southwestern PA. On a daily basis, I could be posting to our social media, different graphics, making those graphics, sitting on coalition calls with other community members and nonprofit organizations. I could be calling people to try and schedule events or preparing for the events themselves. Our organization is really focused on pollution in our waterways. So one of the things that I do is I read the Pennsylvania Bulletin every week to try and see if I can find new NIPDES permits that are coming out or different issues within the waterways, and then try and find permits for those industries. Our organization has participated in a lot of group coalitions. We are a part of the Breathe Project that is focused on the airshed in this community, and as we know, everything in the air comes down into the water. One of our initiatives is Three Rivers Watch, which means we are training a network of volunteers on how to spot and report pollution.
As Jess had mentioned, pollution is one of the main challenges to healthy water quality. To talk more about what specific actions are being done to assess pollution impacts, I also invited Koa Reitz to an interview to talk about their experience.
So I'm Koa. I work at Three Rivers Waterkeeper as an environmental steward. I'm an AmeriCorps member here, so it's a joint program between the two, and I work as an environmental steward doing water testing, water sampling, also working with community programs, and anything else that we might need. So it ranges quite a bit. So on the day-to-day, I could be working on data that we've already collected. So I might be in the office working on the computer, doing some work with either any data we've collected from Swim Guide or some of the data we've collected from the YSI. Swim Guide is something that is, it's a website that is actually used all over the US, and we're using it to test different sites that people might be swimming at in the summer. And one of the big issues with the area that we're in and with the rivers is we have CSOs. Whenever it rains a certain amount, the sewage makes its way into the water, into the rivers, and it's not necessarily always safe to be in there. There can be unsafe levels of E. coli.
As a current intern at Three Rivers Waterkeeper, Swim Guide has been my responsibility. I oversee taking samples and processing data for the website. The sampling for Swim Guide is done over the course of 2 days. It begins with the sampling equipment being prepared and a rotating tributary site being selected. 4 sites stay consistent for sampling, but the 5th selected varies. To sample, I first take out my small bottle to contain the sample, put on my gloves, and extend the sampling pole with the scoop attached. I'll typically rinse the scoop 2 to 3 times to make sure all of the water has been rinsed thoroughly from the last collection. The water is then pulled back in and used to rinse the small container 3 times to remove any leftover residue from bottle production. The sample is finally poured into the bottle, sealed, and labeled with time and location. Once all 5 sites have been visited, the bottles are brought back to the office for the testing process. They are placed onto R cards using a pipette to be incubated, and the next day they are analyzed for bacterial growth. Although Three Rivers Waterkeeper does a lot of work towards maintaining a sustainable city, they are not the only organization to do so. There are dozens of other conservation-based nonprofits dedicated to similar missions and have all worked together to unify the goal of keeping Pittsburgh a livable city. Through working with these organizations, I have learned the true importance of sustainability and water management in an urban environment. By getting to work hands-on in projects mitigating non-sustainable practices, I have a new appreciation for the health of our environment and, most importantly, the water.